Okay, so looking at the completion of the windowsill passive concrete cavity detail, right? So just the little bit of feedback from the couple of drawings that you sent in. So just watch that profile there. Some of you are missing that lip there, and then some of you are missing that lip at the front, and the drip, right? They're important little bits of detail. All right, so then we're just going to look at adding in our window frame. Okay, so measurements of this I wouldn't get too bogged down on. I'm just going to start here, right where the window would sit down over that lip. All right, so that creates kind of a seal as well. So I'm coming out there, roughly 4 millimeters. Then I'm going to come in a vertical direction for say 5. Then I'm going to go out at an angle, any angle, out there, and then I'm going to go vertically again. Alright, so this is just creating the profile of the window frame. Alright, so it could take any shape really within reason, I suppose. Okay, so that would be our window frame. Alright, so we're going to take out various different parts of it, and we're going to add in various parts as well. Alright, so what's important here is that obviously we put in our panels of glass. Alright, so they're going to be it's going to be triple glazing. Alright, so that's what we might start off with. So I'm just going to start from here. I'm going to bring them right the way up to the top because I'll need the exact same ones in the top view, or the top drawing. Right, I'm actually going to let them down into the frame. Right, they just wouldn't be sitting in it, they'd actually be down in it and wrapped around it. Okay, so let them down into it. Alright, so that would be your 3 panes of glass. Now my lines aren't fantastic there. Alright, so triple glazing, and then this is the bottom of our window frame. Alright, so then we want to have, around the house, we need to have a continuous seal of insulation, right? So now, if our insulation coming up the wall, we have it coming up from the foundation, we have our insulation colours are here, and then we're left here with no insulation, so the heat could escape out through there. Alright, so the window frame we made up in a certain way. Alright, so that little bit that I've just put on there, that is just a little clip, alright, to keep the glass in place. Alright, so now we want to have our continuous layer of insulation running around this window. Okay, so I'm just going to break it up into a couple of various different parts, and then I'll highlight what's going to be or what we'll put the insulation symbol on. Alright, so these are just different sections of it. Alright, so obviously the window has to be made in various parts. Alright, so here at the front we're going to have our insulation as well. Right, so the insulation will carry on into there. And then we want it to carry on through this part here. Alright, so now if we're to follow our line of insulation, so we're coming up here, we come to here, and our insulation carries right the way around the window frame. These panes of glass obviously would have fantastic thermal properties there as well. Alright, so that's, I wouldn't get too bogged down on the drawing of that. The only thing that you would want to pay particular attention to is that detail there, that sits down over the lip on the windowsill. Alright, so that's quite important. And then just to finish off the bottom of this, the bottom of this windowsill or window detail, we need to put a window board on the window, but before that we have to put in air tightness tape. Okay, so to make sure that that joint is sealed. All right, and we've talked about that when we looked at the sustainability chapter. Okay, so that's air tightness tape, and then we're going to put on our window board. All right, so window board is just that little bit of wood at your window that you could sometimes probably sit on even. All right, so just around the front of it, and then you can give it an end grain pattern there as well, just to indicate that it is in fact wood. All right, so you could put a plastic piece there as well. So that would be the bottom of your window done. Okay, so that's, don't get overly complicated on the likes of that. Like I said, just wrap it down, make sure it comes down over that seal. So now the water hits here, comes down, runs around, and comes down here, falls onto the windowsill. Right, so falls onto there, and then comes right the way down the windowsill, hits the drip, and falls down to the ground. Alright, so therefore there's no moisture penetrating into the building. If it does seep into the windowsill, you have your DPC wrapped around it to prevent that from occurring, so the water is redirected out anyway. Okay, and then we have our constant line of insulation running right the way around until we get to the glass. Okay, so now we want to look at the top then. Okay, so I'm just going to try and keep this line here. I don't want to come out any further at the top than I have it at the bottom. Alright, and then the same for here. Right, so you'll find that the window would remain the same thickness, alright, or should anyway. Alright, so this line here, if we just come down, what is that? That is 7 mil. So 7 mil down. I'm going to go at a little bit of a slope there, and then I'm going to say 7 mil at the front as well, and I'm going to go at a bit of a slope as well. Alright, now the glass wouldn't go up that far into it, so I'm going to just end it there, and I'm going to rub out that. It was just handy to bring them up when we were drawing it out. Okay, so there's our window frame again. Nice and straightforward-ish. Alright, so don't get bogged down on it, just make sure it's wrapped around the glass. And then we need to do something similar to what we've done down here. Okay, so we need to have the constant line of insulation coming all the way around. Okay, so we're going to put on 20 mil rigid insulation, so 2 mil there, and we're going to have that's going to come right the way from in here now. Okay, so I can bring that down, just bring it down freehand, and it's going to come right the way along. It's going to meet the window frame, and we're just going to carry the same size insulation running right the way through. And then I'm going to bring up the same line here from the bottom, and that's going to be insulation over here as well, insulated frame. Okay, so your rigid insulation here. Now I've lost. Okay, so there's your consistent line of insulation running right the way around. Just like at the bottom, we need to have our air tightness tape. So our air tightness tape and this one comes right the way over along that insulation, and it goes up here, and then it just comes down a small bit down over the window. Alright, so now we have our air tightness tape put in. Then we're going to have our plaster comes down, so the plaster finish on the wall comes down, and it's actually going to go over until it seals around the window. Alright, so that plaster finish comes down here and goes over there. On the outside then of the window you have what's called a reveal. Alright, so this plaster comes down, which you've drawn the last day, so it comes down, but it's going to stick out proud then. If you look at the windows outside of your house, it might be painted a different colour. Alright, so that's called a reveal. It's very hard bit to plaster on a house, just for you to know. Alright, so so the important thing up here, try and keep your window frame something similar so it doesn't stick out any further on the outside or the inside of the house, whatever you go with down at the bottom. You need to have your constant line of insulation wrapped around, so the insulated frame, same down here, and then you need to have your air tightness tape to seal it, top and bottom. Alright, so that's your window detail, your first one done, and then you just need to label it. Okay, so once you have the whole thing done out, you put on your labels as neat as you can. So just something similar to the likes of that there, please. Alright, so external render, external leaf, insulation, 50mm cavity closer, that's insulation, 100mm inner leaf, 12mm render, air tightness seal, 20mm rigid insulation, which you put in at the top, 175 reinforced lintel, so that's your concrete lintels that we talked about for doing an opening. Stepped DPC, so DPC should be stepped. If there any moisture comes down, it runs away. Thermally broken window frame, so or thermally unbroken window frame is there. Alright, so there is a constant wrap around of insulation, and then triple glazing. Alright, so your triple glazing is here. Then you have your air tightness seal down here, 25mm window board, reinforced concrete sill, that should be new, wrapped in DPC or DPM, and then you have drip here, so the drip is over there. This just goes over to another drawing on that one. Alright, so that's what I need done and submitted for today, please.